Okay.
Are you satisfied? Happy? Miserable? Are you looking for love in all the wrong places? It's time for the Michelle Hughes Show, where we keep it real. Tune in daily and join our controversial topics as we talk about singles, sex, and men and women's issues. And now, the queen of relationships on the Michelle Hughes Show, always keeping it real. Your host, Michelle Hughes.
Restructure your thinking and every aspect of your life changes. And this is so true. I believe that when you change the way you think, then you will begin to think differently. And Dr. Bill, we want to welcome you back to Mondays with Dr. Bill.
Thanks, Michelle. I'm really happy to be back.
Yeah. In there because we're really happy to have you, Dr. Bill.
I appreciate that. Especially second part of thought addiction. We didn't get too far into it last time we talked.
No.
And I didn't want your listeners to get shortchanged from that.
Well, no, Dr. Bill, because we know you are the leading expert in the field of thought addictions. And I know how passionate you are in helping people overcome their addictions. And this is why you have developed assessing people who are suffering with thought addictions. So, can you explain how thought addictions work?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Let's start with the definition again so everybody knows what the definition is that we're working off of.
All right.
And a thought addiction is an unrealistic habitual attachment to a thought or sets of thoughts that repeatedly go through your mind and you can't seem to stop or control. So it's just like if you've heard a song, a song that that gets caught in your head and you're tapping your feet and it's going through your head. And then it just cycles again, and it keeps cycling. And it doesn't matter what you do. You keep hearing that song in your head. And it goes on and on. Even when you go to sleep, wake up in the morning, the song's still stuck in your head, no matter what you do. The same thing with thought addiction. It gets looping in your mind, that thought, and it's over and over again. Unfortunately, most of the thoughts that we get thought addicted to are negative thoughts.
Right.
But I have a whole group of thoughts to help everybody understand a little better. Anxious thoughts you can become addicted to just anxious thought. Anxious all day long, every day. Never really knowing what it is, but you're just very anxious. You have anxiety constantly. Compulsive thoughts, same thing over and over again. Depressive thoughts. Depressive thoughts really affect a large majority of our population, and we get into those more and more. We withdraw from society, from other people, from relationships, just based on depressive thoughts. Next,
can I ask you a question before you go to deluded thoughts? Isn't that why people who are depressed can basically murder people do things that they normally would not have done because they didn't realize that they were depressed?
Oh, yes, yes. You wouldn't. There's no way you can tell what kind of thoughts they have in their mind. Let's take, for example, Robin Williams. Robin Williams, a very successful person, very successful in his chosen career, grew up a lot in his age knowing that he was bipolar. He had bipolar disease. So he would be very up some days and very down some days. And if you ever saw him perform, Mork and Mindy was one of his most popular ones, you can see some of his manicness in there. And, he was just so creative. Then this past year, unbeknownst to a lot of people, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And one of his best friends was Michael J. Fox, who has Parkinson's disease. And I think Robin Williams, because he did have other addictions, sunk into a thought addiction, a depressive thought addiction, that he didn't want to be seen with this Parkinson's disease. And I think that's why he committed suicide. And nobody could see his thoughts, what was going through his head. So, he thought it was better if he ended his life than be embarrassed or be looked at or couldn't perform in front of people because of his Parkinson's disease, shaking and things like that. Even though Michael J. Fox was one of his best friends.
Now, can I ask you another question? Is it true that every addiction starts with a thought?
Absolutely. Every addiction starts with a thought. I mean, why do people drink? Well, I feel like I'd be looser, more social if I drank. That's a thought. Once they have one drink, they go, oh, I can talk better. So if I can talk better with one drink, with 40 drinks, I should be real talkative. So it starts with a thought. I have friends, not me personally, but you could think, my friends use drugs, and if I don't do drugs, then I won't be accepted. Again, that's a thought. So we use and compensate for our shortcomings, our thoughts. I'm not good enough, I'm not confident enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not outgoing enough. We use other things to enhance those abilities. And for a short time, it works very well. But then we get into the relationship deeper, and then it turns toxic. We lose our ability to have discipline and control our use, and then the substance or behavior or emotion takes over us, or the thought.
So is it the same thing as anxiety, fear, and distorted thoughts can affect a person in the same way, or what way does those affect us?
Well, it can be any of those thoughts that get us into a secondary addiction with a substance or something like that. But it starts with a thought. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve to be with people unless I drink. Those kind of thoughts. And then when somebody gets sober, is able to beat their secondary addiction, say with alcohol, and get sober, what are they left with? They're left with the same thought that got them into it in the first place. And as soon as it rears its ugly head in that person's mind, I see it as a red flag that they're going to relapse.
Wow. So why are you saying they're going to relapse? Because they don't realize that they are addicted? I think most people who are addicted, they don't want to accept the addiction.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of denial about the substance or behavior or emotion that they're addicted to, yes, or sex or shopping or whatever it is.
Yes.
But what they don't know is it was the thought of lack of esteem, lack of value, lack of worth, lack of confidence that got them to use it in the first place. So the substance gives them a false sense of confidence, a false sense of self. But when everything goes bad and the relationship with that substance becomes toxic and is ruining your life, and they're able to get sober, you're still left with, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough. All of these thoughts remain, so the person's going to use again to recapture that first phase of their addiction where everything was working good for them. You see?
Yeah, you know what? So basically, they rather end up, because, I know people who are addicted to alcohol, and they keep going back to the same place, and they may go back into rehab over and over. And the people at the rehab people know, because they tell the people that they're always going to be addicted. So how can that person break that cycle? I think we talked about this previously, but how can a person break that cycle when they've already been told that they can't break it?
See, again, that goes back to the first time that I was on your show and talked about core beliefs.
Right.
You can't break that cycle, becomes a core belief. And when it becomes a belief, you believe that about yourself, you can't break it. The other thing is they're going to relapse because they have not changed. They have not shifted that core thought, that thought that made them use in the first place. So in order to be successful after you get into sobriety, you have to think differently. If you don't change your thoughts and beliefs, you're going to end up being the same way as you were before.
I believe that. I believe that, Dr. Bill, because just because, I'm going to take it to this level, just because you're a Christian, believer, whatever, if you don't take it to God and ask him to help you overcome whatever you are going through, that's why people continue to stay in the same way, because they're not doing what you just said. They're not changing the thoughts. So that's in anything. I don't care who you are. If you don't change your thoughts, you're not going to change, right?
Absolutely. You need to ask God for the strength to help you overcome the substance or the behavior or the emotion, your ex or act or whatever you're addicted to. But also you need to ask God for the strength to change your thinking.
Right.
Because if you don't change your thinking and your beliefs, you will continue to be what you've been.
So is that what you call numb out feelings and to stop that thought? Because people they feel numb when you're addicted. But Dr. Bill, I want you to, I'm calling you Dr. Phil. Dr. Bill.
Don't call me Dr. Phil, please.
I want you to hold that thought, because we're going to go to a commercial break. And because we're going to come back to how people numb out their feelings to stop the thoughts. So we'll be right back, you guys. Hold on.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back as we deal with more heart-to-heart issues. This is the Queen of Relationships on the Michelle Hughes Show, where we keep it real. Stay with us on the Michelle Hughes Show.
Do you want to change your life? Unlock the secrets to making positive changes in your life with a free membership at makingapositivechange.com. Take a chance on yourself. Join the Making a Positive Change community today by going to www.makingapositivechange.com or talk to Dr. Bill directly at 239-349-2209.
It's the Michelle Hughes Show. We keep it real. We talk about singles, sex, men and women issues. Come join the conversation on the Michelle Hughes Show.
Well, Dr. Bill, when we ended the show, we were talking about the numbing out feelings, and that's not a good feeling. So can you explain a little bit what that's all about?
Yeah, but what occurs is people use different things to do two certain things. One is to numb out emotions. So we'll do a behavior, use a substance to numb a feeling out, to disconnect from our emotional system, like cocaine. It's an anesthesia. It will numb out your body, literally. That's what it was used for. You know, it's just like you go to the dentist and they put that on your gums and it goes dead. Same thing with cocaine. When you snort it, it goes down your throat is numb, your stomach is numb, and eventually your intestines become numb. But also your feelings are numb. So we'll use whatever we need to escape a painful emotion, to numb it out. The other thing that we use addictions for is to stop a thought. And sometimes we get addicted to one thought to stop another thought.
So do you think that Robin Williams, you think he could have, if he had gotten to you in time, the suicidal thoughts that he was having, could that have been prevented?
Yes. It could have been shifted and changed if got in at the right moment. Because he had just coming out of rehab. He'd gone back into rehab. And I truly believe if somebody had said, oh, you're having a thought addiction, this is how you change it and shift it, would have helped him rather than, here, take this antidepressant medication. Which we know if I was a therapist, I owned my own behavioral health company for 38 years, and if antidepressants were that good, nobody'd be depressed. But it doesn't. Drugs are not the answer. Legal or illegal, drugs are not the answer.
I believe that because I had a friend who he had some issues, emotional issues, and but he did need the medication to make him think normal, if I can say that. But I believe those antidepressive medication, that's where it takes a person to another level, and it distorts them totally. Do you follow what I'm saying? I believe there is a difference. I believe some people do need their medication to be normal, if I can say that. I mean, I believe in vitamins. I believe that their vitamins will do the better job than medication. But everybody doesn't take vitamins. So I would tell anyone, don't get off of your medication, but especially if you're not going to do anything, you're just not going to take nothing, you're not going to take no vitamins or anything, because that is suicidal. Because if you think you can make it without anything, no, because some people, I don't know what you call it because I'm not a psychologist like you, but you know that those cells or whatever, they just don't cooperate with them, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's just like what I learned, for all the years working in psychiatric facilities. Anxiety is something we need. It is a driver of behavior. It is driver of actions. And without anxiety, we're comfortable. We don't need to change. We don't need to grow. So they produce benzodiazepines, which like Xanax, Klonopin, Ativan, Elavil, all of those and more. And they're very addictive pills. But what they do is take the anxiety away and cut you off at the neck so that your emotional can't come from your body to your mind and register. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, then you become addicted to the benzodiazepines and the anti-anxiety drugs, and it produces its own anxiety and causes you to take more and more. To get rid of your anxiety, it took 0.5 milligram, then it takes 1 milligram, then it takes 2 and 3. I have helped people get off of that at 8 milligrams a day. That would make a horse fall over.
Wow.
That's a lot. And they become so afraid that they can't stop. And the whole profession tells them, if you stop, you're going to have seizures, you're going to get sick, you won't be able to do it, nobody can get off them. Well, why did you prescribe them to me in the first place if you knew I'd get addicted and can't get off of it?
It's
so
true.
Anxiety is a message from your body and your spirit that you're stunk and you need to move. And without that, we would have died as a species back in the cave days. You know, caveman goes out to go get dinner for his family. His wife and kids are in the cave, and she's cooking, and a dinosaur sticks his head in the opening of the cave. Without anxiety, they'd be dinner for the dinosaur. They wouldn't get scared. They wouldn't move. They wouldn't do anything. Okay? It was the anxiety that made the wife scoop up the kids and back to the farthest part of the cave so the dinosaur couldn't get to them. So anxiety is very important for us. Stress is another case. Stress and anxiety are not the same. So we need to look at what, stress will do and what anxiety does. And anxiety, I believe, is not an emotion. It's a message. So listen to your body.
Okay, but after you listen to your body, I say take it to God and pray, give it to Him, and that relieves you. And then I take a lot of vitamins. But everybody doesn't do that.
Yes, that relieves you, but you got to do something. You then have to take steps to make it better. Go back to school, get a new job, leave a bad relationship, do something.
Exactly. So what you're saying is that in most cases, something's bringing on that anxiety, the stress. And so if we don't take care of those things, then therefore it's not going away. I think that's what people think. They think it's just going to go away. No, it's not going to go away. You have to take some initiative and say what you will tolerate and what you won't tolerate. But instead, what we do, we just keep tolerating it, thinking it's going to go away. You can give it to God, and that's good. I believe in all that. I know I have a relationship with God. But at some place, God's not going to go beyond your decision, even in coming to Him. So now why would He just, you're depressed. Now He'll tell you what to do. But if you don't do it, then there again, your hands are tied. So what do you say to a person like that?
So at that point, is God's hands are tied.
Exactly. God
gives us free will, and if we just sit there and do nothing, that's what we're going to get. Exactly. If we sit there and think we can't accomplish something, that's what we'll get. Understand that the mind can only do what's written on the mind, which I call the mind code. So
I believe that.
The code determines who you are.
When you say code, I think people don't understand is that what you're really saying is that you got to speak to your mind.
Yes. Well, let me ask you a question. How often do you monitor your own thinking?
Well, I do a lot of thinking, and so I do monitor my thinking. When a bad thought comes in, I denounce it. I don't accept it, because I know it's not of God. That's how I look at it. When a good thought.
So do you think you're usual or unusual with that ability?
I think that I don't know. I can't say what most people do. I would hope that they are doing what I do, because if not, this whole world would be kind of messed up, because everybody, what if I'm going to clap right now. The reason why I say that, because the world would be dead.
How many wars are raging on the other side of this
Exactly.
world?
That's what I'm trying to say, because most people, you would end up killing people, going slapping people, doing ugly things to people, if we did everything our minds told us to do. So we have to somewhere begin to speak to that mind and begin to denounce that thought that's not good.
I read this survey. 54% of all people believe they cannot control their thinking.
Wow. 54%. Okay.
54%. And that's just not a big survey, but big enough. It's very valid. But that's incredible that 54% of people don't think they can control their thinking. That means that they're doing what their mind says. I call it mind whispers. You know that inner critic that you have in your head? That inner voice that talks to you? Mm-hmm. Most people do not denounce it. Most people do not confront it. Most people do what it says for them to do. Feel or not feel.
So are you talking about evil thoughts or good thoughts? So what are you saying?
Negative, self-defeating, self-limiting, self-devastating thoughts. And not only from the inner critic do they do it to themselves, but they do it to other people. If you judge and hate yourself, you're going to judge and hate other people.
Exactly. Now that's true, right? Mm-hmm.
That's your code. Now let's look back at thought addiction. Thought addiction produces what it does is intensify deluded thoughts. And deluded thoughts are thoughts that cause us to view life the wrong way, for our mind to become clouded. Thought addiction also makes your inner critic harsher and meaner towards yourself and towards your outside world. And third, thought addiction causes our fears to increase, to have more fearful thoughts.
So if a person already goes into a relationship thinking, well, if it works, if it doesn't work, I can always get out. I'm talking to singles. So,
yeah.
So therefore, if you already going into it with that negative critic, as you're saying, telling you what's going to happen in the end anyway, there's no way that relationship can survive because you already going into it with a negative thought, right?
Right. And look at a core belief. All men lie.
Yes.
So if that's in your mind and you just happen to catch your guy lying, then the value of that core belief goes higher. And your next relationship, you're looking for them to lie. See the pattern that is created?
Exactly. Even with men, they come into it with thinking negative things about females. She's not going to love me. No one ever.
All women are gold diggers. Ever hear of that one?
Or that, yeah. Women are gold diggers. Right, exactly. Mm-hmm.
And the first time the woman says, give me some money. The guy, he gets triggered, the flags go up, and he walks away.
Exactly.
Even though it may be that reason. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because now men are asking you when they first meet you, where do you work? And when a man comes to me and he says that, because someone did that to me recently, and I'm thinking, excuse me, why? I don't even know you. Why would I tell you where I work or what I do? What is it to you? So, it's that negative. And to me, when a person asks me my employment, I already know they have had some encounters with negative women.
Mm-hmm. Or they don't want, they want to know that you work.
Exactly.
They don't want you to just, she just wants me. When she gets me, she's going to sit on the couch and watch TV all day.
Exactly.
That's where these core beliefs come in, and we learn that growing up. And unfortunately, the core beliefs is the content for your thoughts, and your thoughts are what drives the rest of your life. So, you can't have an emotion without a thought. You can't have a thought without a behavior. You can't have a behavior without an emotion. It's a triad. So can we alter our moods, change our emotions? Yes, you can. Can you change your behavior? Yes, you can. Can you change your thought? 54% of us say no, we can't.
Well.
So it breaks the whole triad. But yes, you can. You can change your thoughts. And that's what my 30-day challenge is on my makingaapositivechange.com. Helps you in 30 days change your mind, change your programming, change your beliefs, change your life.
So that person must desire to make that change. Well, you heard Dr. Bill. In order for you to make that change, you can join his membership. And what's that website, Dr. Bill?
www.makingaapositivechange.com. It's a free membership. It's a community of all positive. We don't want and don't need negativity in there. We can change. We can do better. There's videos. There's journal free to everybody. articles, and then the 30-day challenge. Yes, that will cost you, but it will change your life.
Well,
it will change your life.
Dr. Bill, you have been phenomenal as usual, giving us information that's going to help us in our everyday relationship, understanding that thought process. And so in those thought addictions, well, listen, I want you to join us every Monday, because you know we keep it real, but Dr. Bill is going to be your doctor every Monday. So join us next Monday at the same time, 7:30 to 8 o'clock. And Dr. Bill, you want to give a word in closing?
Believe in yourself and believe in your abilities.
Thanks for tuning in to the Michelle Hughes Show. Join us daily for more hot topics with the Queen of Relationships. Always keeping it real. See you tomorrow on the Michelle Hughes Show.